city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Hostilities between New Eden's Big Four empires have been growing over the past few months, with no sign that the escalation can be reversed. Against this background, with the empires apparently racing to develop advanced power and transportation technologies, a fresh diplomatic crisis has erupted. Allegations of Edencom and Concord agents gathering details on Caldari State research into new shipcaster technology were the spark for a major diplomatic row between the empires. The Minmatar Republic accused the Amar Empire of using Edencom intelligence assets to covertly acquire technology from the Caldari. Subsequently, Caldari State investigations have revealed evidence that supports these allegations. Credible accusations of spying against an ally at such a sensitive time have put a significant strain on relations between the Amar Empire and the Caldari State. Derived from Triglavian technology recovered from the Athenon system, the shipcaster is believed to have the capability to cast ships over vast interstellar distances with pinpoint accuracy. Able to bypass gates, silencial jammers, and other defenses, the technology would provide the Caldari Navy with a significant force projection advantage over its rivals. The Scope has learned that the Caldari Navy is already preparing to build a shipcaster at a construction site located in Anamon. The fortified system in the Black Rise region has already seen extensive naval movements and construction, building it up as the Caldari Navy headquarters for war zone operations. As the spying scandal rumbles on in diplomatic circles, it is being reported that senior figures in the Caldari State and Minmatar Republic have begun security cooperation talks in the Caldari system of Arakan, close to the Republic border. The new aggression and apparent duplicity of the Amar Empire comes at a time when the Gallente Federation's militarization of the Intaki system is also coming under scrutiny. As New Eden's two largest empires appear increasingly ruthless and militaristic, some speculate that the Republic and State may seek a diplomatic realignment in their own national interests. This is Alton Havery, reporting for The Scope.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is March 3rd, YC125, and this is the Eve Universe Show. How's it going, guys? We have a new Scope video. We have lots of new news today. So we've got lots of things to go over. I want to go over today's news, how it relates to some of the other stuff, and then talk about the Shadow War again. We've talked about it a few times. We got a lot of information collected now, and so I kind of, rather than edit down the old videos and like try to merge things, I figured that we would just do a from the top, the guide to the Shadow War, so that way it's ready for when it starts, which may be, and I know, but there is pretty good evidence as to why it's been delayed, and it's also the good evidence that it will be coming out potentially next week. We'll talk about that in a second. In the meantime, we are on Singularity. How's it going, guys? Also, before I even deep dig into this, there was a super chat in the beginning. Kudos from NU42. I do want to highlight these guys, okay? Like, I've met a lot of really cool guys as part of, being part of Eve. And, with my newer videos being guides for newer players, I've been getting to engage with a lot of other newer players. And this is a group of people who have come together, coalesced, if you were, of like relatively new guys that are super pumped up about EVE Online. And of course they're sharing around my videos and other people's videos and tools and stuff. And I'm in their Discord trying to give them some advice and everything. And they are just I'm very excited to see where they're going from here, and I'm very happy to see their support, and thank you. So go ahead, and if you're interested, if that sounds exciting to you, if you are a newer player and want to learn the game with a bunch of new players or relatively new players that are just super pumped up for the game and are interested in learning the game together, they are worth checking out. It is NU42. Let me, if you want to text me some of the information, I'll send people your way, like even a Discord link. All right. Do you happen to know who that group of people is on the tarmac? Yeah, let's talk about these things, okay? I think and we may want to do some research into this, because what's weird is, let's go back to that video. Well, actually, we'll jump into the scope video in just a minute. How about that? In-game Link Gallente. Well, I'm not in the client at the moment. There we go. If you want to check out their Discord, this is their Discord link. They're just cool dudes. So far, they've been pretty cool. I've been hanging out in the Discord, like I said, and it's really cool to see just some super pumped up new bros, that aren't necessarily falling in like a big empire and being told, this is how to rat, this is how to do everything, but are like sincerely very fascinated about. I think Lumi comes from Eve Echoes originally, if I remember correctly. So like they have a grounded understanding of EVE Online, but not the nuance, if that makes sense. Anywho. So, we have a couple of posts on HoboLeaks. HoboLeaks actually Sissy just updated a few minutes ago. I will show off some of the things I'm actually excited about. There we go. Hey, there's Lumi. The biggest thing I can show off that they added today that isn't related to the event is this. There's now, I don't remember if supercarriers were on it before, but now there's the Apocalypse Navy issue, the Apocalypse Imperial issue, Armageddon Navy issue, the Paladin is now on here. So the Marauders are now on here. Faction battleships, Marshall's on here. So now basically, let's look if, is the Avatar on here? Yep. So I'd say that basically all of the standard ships now have the emblems. So this is a full rollout of the emblems. I'd probably be hard-pressed to find a single ship now that doesn't have an emblem. Especially since I can see, like, the Zephyr's here now. I don't know if the Zephyr was already here. But, is the Echelon? Does the Echelon have one before? I sincerely believe that this is just every ship now. I don't think I can think of a single ship it wouldn't be. Nurgle? I know my alphabet, I promise. Nurgle. Yeah, even AHG ships are there. Yeah, I think some of these were already there for sure. But my point is that I like I said, I don't know which ones were just added. We could look at the list. Hold on. So there we go. So we can see here it goes Abaddon, Absolution. So the command ships, other battleships, the jump freighters. Yeah, the capitals, the Cayman. It sincerely just looks like all of the rest. No, well, this is just the logos. So just so we have clarity and understanding, what we're talking about here is, can I show this off here? Nope, I don't have the points for this one. Oh well, I was trying to get footage of this system for the first shot, but I didn't do it quite the way I wanted to. I'll try again later. Either way, in the meantime, let's go to Dodixie. Or, actually, I just go to my Twitter. So the logo there, that's what we're talking about. So that's the Corp logo. And to the side, the Alliance logo would go off to the side. So now that's now available for all ships. Okay, so in addition to that, we also got the Deathless's crew, and that's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but the Unknown Mercenaries have been updated on the Singularity. So while the Angels and the Garistas are not there yet, the Mercenaries are updated now. So their stats are correct and their images are correct. Which means they could theoretically, like, and I might bring this up again when we talk about Shadow War, but there is a suggestion that this could mean that there's going to be multiple phases, and at first the enemy will only be the mercenaries, and the Angels and the Garistas either aren't supposed to come in or will come in later. But this actually brings up an interesting question that I thought about this morning while talking with Krell about stuff, which is that, like, this is the thing about the technology that they're getting, the shipcaster technology, and the fact that CCP said that the Angels have been busy or will be too busy for the Guardians Gala. Well, if they're stealing the shipcaster technology, my question is, what are they going to do with it? Right? Are they trying to steal it for the transmuter tech? It's possible that the Angels are trying to steal one and the Garistas are trying to steal the other. But my thoughts is like, what is the implication of this technology falling into the hands of these different groups, let alone the Deathless's squad? Angels casting themselves into Joseph. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. But also, remember, there's also the transmuter, right? The transmuter tech is part of this. Did the Caldari DST get emblems yet? Look, CCP knows I fly a bustard, so it's never going to get it, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to check. Phew. Darn it, I have to sit in it, don't I? No. No. Nope. Hold on. Browser's in the way. Nope. No. Well, the Angels actually don't have that strong of a relationship with the Triglavians. We don't have any records of the Triglavians' opinions about the Angels. And they showed up in the Abyss later than everyone else. I know, amazing, huh? However, there is some pretty strong hints that the Mithras Gate thing was related to the Triglavians as well. So the Triglavians, or the Angels, may be interested in the Triglavians from a reverse engineered point of view. In other words, the Angels have the best chance of knowing who the Triglavians were, if that makes sense. Remember, there's also evidence that the Triglavians were collaborating or even coordinating with people, or I mean, the other way around, but before they were discovered, right? Before they were able to come to the surface through the rogue drones. Does anybody else here do invention? I caught the TIS the other day and was thinking about trying it. Yeah, we do invention quite a bit. Actually, I'm going to throw him under the bus. Malak is the guy to contact. He's our industry director. Do you think that the Drifter ships will ever be playable? So the precursor skills are called that in a kind of in a tongue-in-cheek way to not tongue-in-cheek, but like as a way of kind of suggesting that it could theoretically be related to the Drifter ships later on because they're the other precursor. But having talked to CCP, like outside of the game perspective, CCP as a company, first of all, CCP internally is divided on a lot of issues, obviously. There's a lot of debate. There's individuals in the company that have different opinions, so it's not like they're a monolith when it comes to these kinds of things. But from my understanding, the predominant opinion about the Drifters is that they like the fact that they have a big bad guy. It is theirs. No one else can be part of it. Because, like, think about it from a storytelling and a gameplay point of view, right? Like, when they did the Sancha's incursions, people tried to side with Sancha. You know, like, in a world in which there's a sandbox, people have to have, people want to choose all kinds of different things, and you have to be open to it. So there is kind of something handy from a game design point of view of saying, like, this one race is so alien and so evil and so non-negotiable that no, you don't get to have access to it. And so until there is some sort of shift in opinion internally about the matter, I think that the fact that the Drifters are the big bad end guy of the entire story makes it important that we never gain any kind of overt understanding of what's going on there, at least not right now. The stellar transmitter thing? Yeah. So we'll talk about that during the event, but the next event is all about building stellar transmitters. So I think that this really plays into the idea that, like, now that stellar transmitters are just being built to power other things, yeah, by having a big bad, they don't have to be balanced. They're basically the Lich King from WoW. Yeah, they are the alien, right? They are the thing that is mysterious. We don't understand them. We don't understand how their tech works. We don't understand how their logic works. They explicitly do not have a voice box. They do not communicate with us. And if we understand them correctly, they hate all of us. Rogue drones are mysterious only because we try to look at them like a monolith, when really they're a series of hives, right? Like, there are rogue drone hives that are suborned to the Nafka Overmind. There are unshackled Overmind drones. There are rogue drones that seem to be enslaved by the Ancients' technologies for harvesting Isogen 5. You know, there's all different kinds of hives with their own collectives. They're not one entity. I can imagine, though, the situation where perhaps we figure out they're cloning Drifter PC clones. Fun fact, actually, Technocratic, we did. That's called alpha clone technology. Only way I see them uncovering more about the Drifters is a significant drop in player numbers. No, the only so let's be very clear. The Drifters are connected to the Other. The Other's storyline cannot move forward without a shooter. Period. It's too up close and personal. The Drifters are a combination of that story. It's a breach of the Other into the universe. But ultimately, it all comes back down to war clones. So in a lot of ways, the Drifter side of the Precursor Crisis remains kind of in a perpetual holding pattern until that shooter is available. At least that's what every sign has indicated to me. By the way, any word on the shooter? Any rumors? I am not on the forums. Nothing lately. Well, I think the last I heard about it was they were collecting people for the test, but I don't even know if the test has happened. I don't think so. There's going to be another Eve Pew Pew game. Yes. It's currently known as the Unannounced Shooter. You got to remember. So, like, the problem with the shooter is that for this last 6 or so years, 6 to 8 years, we have always been within 2 years of the shooter coming out. And so the lore has kind of stayed in this cycle where it's like preparing for this, but we never actually get to like the payoff point, right? Especially starting in 2018. The plot in 2018 was leading towards the shooter, right? Cassia Valkynier was originally, and Aegis, that whole thing was originally the Empire's side for the shooter. It wasn't until the shooter got delayed and then later canceled in 2018, late 2018, early 2019, did Cassia and Aegis tie directly into the Triglavian plot instead. And they've spent that time that they've had establishing new characters, new environments, new locations, all places that could be useful in a shooter. If you've noticed, we've seen a lot more videos of what the planets look like, including today's scope video. We've seen a lot more stuff about like soldiers and stuff moving around. There's the war clones and such. Like there's this constant, basically, I like to say that we are currently living in the backstory of the upcoming shooter. So what you're saying is the drifter ships may become accessible after the shooter game comes out? Well, maybe. Like I said, it all depends on what our growing understanding of the Other becomes. Oh, cool. Thanks. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about stuff. So... I'll take a maybe. If we can fly the drifter ships, they would have to be less powerful. That would have to be explained somehow in the lore. Yes and no. It depends on what you mean by less powerful. You know, like, the drifter ships are actually pretty not very strong, honestly. Why doesn't the MPE show people how to explore wormholes around abyssals? Because the MPE is fairly limited. But the career program, which is technically part of the MPE, I would say, does at least direct them towards wormholes and abyssals, and the agency teaches them about abyssals. Well, it's not well, yeah, but you get one shot of it on a ship that's a battleship that has like a cruiser-sized tank. And that doomsday could theoretically be dodged. What? Hold on, Donovan. Yes, I've definitely noticed since you've put me on the lore, it does seem like a Battlefield type game is coming to put a bow on events. Yeah. So when Project Nova was going to come out, you know, it got tested. It wasn't like it didn't get a good reception, so they pulled it back. And before CSP Rutati moved off that project completely, what he said was they were interested in adding more MMO elements. And this was at a time where Destiny 2 was really big. So the idea of like changing it from just being an arena shooter to like a game that has like an expansive area with backstory and lore and things happening, I don't think that they're going to tie it directly into the game like they did with the previous one, where like actions in one, like you can actually bombard from one to the other necessarily at first. But I think it would be really cool if like the same events play out in both worlds. So like as in the shooter world, I could see what's going on in Taki from the ground, and from the Eve world, I can see what's going on in Taki from space. And there's different events that are going on, but it's one like story. I think that you could do that because there's enough division between the shooter or like mercs, the war clones, and the pilots that you could still do that. And then once that's established, then you could talk about linking those two games again. Well, you can't just DD whenever you want. The drifters don't DD whenever they want. They can that it is a reaction to their overshield being destroyed. So what I was thinking is you could actually just change it. So rather than it doing so much damage, it's actually based on the amount of damage it has received. Like it punches that burst of damage back out at them. So the harder you hit them at first, the bigger your alpha strike, the bigger the hit they hit you back with. The market is a big untapped resources for interaction between games. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a great one. Because the idea is that like the Trig are restricted to closer ranges and are armor-based and remote rep. So the idea that the drifters are based off of shields and long-range snipey setups but have bad tracking, like, that makes sense to me. And honestly, if you really wanted to if you wanted to nerf the Doomsday, literally all you'd have to do is take away the breaking of locks. I think that we should get the World Arc. Well, yeah, I mean, so they did that once, right? Dust 514, we could go to a planet and provide orbital bombardments to people that were fighting in on the PlayStation 3 in Dust 514. Like that was a thing that happened. We got loyalty points for it too. What would a World Arc do? Before I get too deep into this, I will say that Uriel, last name nobody can pronounce. We're going to go with antediluvian. No, Uriel is this is Uriel's idea, not mine. I just really like it. So the idea is that, well, I add on to it. First, step 1, remove bridging from Titans. Step 2, release this new ship, which is the World Ark can jump to a Cyno and then open up a bridge by opening up its door. So like when it jumps, it leaves behind a trace where it jumped from. And when the door opens, people can use the trace to jump through into the fight. Other than that, the World Ark has no direct offensive weapons, but can deploy status effects pylons based on internal cooldowns / energy, etc., etc. Now, the World Ark can close the door. People can use the door to head back to the trace, and the World Ark can retreat back to the trace. But the World Ark could abandon his own people there, and the people could just go back through and abandon the World Ark if they don't shut the door. So, but what this does is it requires the bridging ship to be committed to the field. And then you could take away bridging from Titans. And then we now have a balanced system of moving things around. Anywho. Wouldn't that render Titans useless? Well, no. What that renders Titans is now you can balance them properly because you don't have to worry about all of that extra utility that an entire second role that they bring to the table. You can just make Titans be battlefield changing ships, you know, with powerful boosts and reps. I've actually said that what I want the Titan to be is like everything in one. So it's got powerful boosts that are different from any of the others. Like they already have these, the field effects that are different from, but synergize with other bursts. Just, you know, lean into those more, and then give them both remote reps, primary weapon systems, and fighters. So that way they're the equivalent of having 2 or 3 capitals on field, but their primary advantage is those boosts that they bring. So having one Titan on the field changes the way the entire fleet fights, but having 3 Titans on the field starts to become more and more redundant until finally you might as well just bring in a Dread or a Carrier, because a Titan is just basically the equivalent of bringing a Dread and a Fax at the same time with one character, but costs, 10 times as much. So that's what I want from Titans. What if the Titan or World Ark had tethering? You mean people could tether to it? No. I think that tethering is too strong as it is. Tethering exists because they were trying to replace POS shields, and mooring wasn't working out. I think that tethering, if anything, should be made weaker. Like, it should be only a small area around the docking bay, or if you moor, it actually locks you in place or significantly slows you down, or, whatever. You could tether a World Ark, but tethering things to a World Ark just has too many tactical implications. Titans are supposed to be like battering rams for structures. Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's the big thing, right? They've got the big doomsday. But yes. Well, I mean, who knows how I didn't want the World Ark to be that expensive either. Like, I was thinking that the World Ark would cost it may be even a smaller version of it. Like, it's not the Axel Zordosh, but it's like a minor version of it, like a smaller version of it. and make it only cost about as much as a carrier or maybe a super carrier. But the point is that you want to actually give these bridging capabilities to people, and you want people to be willing to field it onto the battlefield. Right. I want Titans to be more powerful than any other capital, but only because it does like multiple capitals jobs, and therefore the person that is running that thing needs to be able to handle all of those different things at once. The Titan should be the final exam on how to pilot a ship, right? It shouldn't just be the easiest ship to fly. You should have to take into consideration basically every type of system that you possibly can. I've actually suggested that I want the Doomsday. This is crazy, by the way. This is where I lose the audience. I've suggested in the past to have the Doomsday weapon be skill based, have like a mini game like the fishing game from Stardew Valley, where you have to try to keep it in the tolerance as it goes, try to keep the heat up and also vent the cooling and like do all this stuff. And the thing is that you can push it, right, for maximum damage and get like a critical or whatever. But if you push it and fail, it could cause a critically bad event up to and including the core going super critical and exploding the Titan. People don't like that one. Yeah, I want the, like, as you're warming up the Doomsday to be like pushing power to it versus cooling off the systems. Yes, more mini games also for mining. Oh, here's my mining one. I don't know if you heard this one. Here's my problem with mining, okay? In real world mining, the number one, like, actual thing you do to produce the best results is prospecting. And that is totally reversed in Eve, right? Like the boosts make it so that your yield is better, and the better refine rate means that you get more out of the ore. But we have like survey scanners and stuff. I want it to be that literally if you have the survey systems in place, you can actually it allows you to separate out the bad stuff from the good stuff, right? That you can actually find the actual pieces and mine out the good bits out of the ore. Maybe all ore is the base stuff, but through proper prospecting, you can find dense or the specialty ore, the more advanced ore types, the better reprocessing ore types, right? Like I feel like the act of surveying the ground and scoping it out and and trying to find valuable stuff, surveying something, prospecting something, because then what you have is what you really have in real life, where a person with bad skills could come in and fail to find the good bits, but then somebody could come in after who has better skills and more patience and find things that the other guys missed. These things don't happen in the game right now. And in my opinion, that is all mining. That is mining as far as like the actual universe of mining, like the actual fantasy of doing mining. That's somehow a better idea. I really want to get rid of the mining types we have 4 times. Veldspar, concentrated Veldspar, dense Veldspar, and stable Veldspar, and have one type with a yield percentage on the asteroid itself. Yeah, but you feel what I'm saying though, Sutonia, right? Like, what if somebody could figure out, like, okay, hold on, let's take a step back. In PI, right? Your quality of your stuff in PI is based on your surveying skills. And so if you have bad surveying skills, it's not that the resources aren't there. It's that you can't find them right. So someone with better skills could actually exploit the same areas and get more resources because their prospecting capabilities are better. Take that and put them here, right? Or even like, what if, like in Resource Wars, there's the gold rocks that spawn. What if you could prospect and sweep, and so your prospect or porpoise is doing its boosts, but it's also kind of doing these sweeps across all the rocks. You know, you're locking up the rocks and scanning them or whatever, and then suddenly, pop! This one's crit. Oh, boom! It's a gold ore, or it's a gold rock. Yay! It's a gold rock. Really limits how much reward we can get for mining activity, and also means that we don't have many levers other than removing asteroids or making them super small. Exactly. Yeah. We have some cool mechanics that with the Yule Ice mining too, where you can sometimes get a bonus loot box. That was really cool. So I assume you know this, Cetonia, but Eve Echoes does this too, and I actually think this is really cool. So in Eve Echoes, anytime you're doing basically anything, but one of the things you can do is mine, is that occasionally you just end up with these ancient or these dirty things in your cargo hold that you can then open up, and it gives you like a random lore item that you can then go and turn in for points to get skins or whatever, right? But the point is that like you can just get random doodads. They aren't even worth normal ISK or anything like that. But you just get these things. You know, it's like as you're mining stuff, you're like, oh, hey, look, this is we found a piece of a ancient artifact in this ice rock. But yes, I will say this: the bonus loot box was extremely successful. Although it'd be cool if there was more visual, if there was a more visual or auditory stinger when it happens. Because the issue I found with it was that we were really confused. Because people could like, a lot of times we were like, well, shoot, did I get that one from turning it in? Did I get it, or did I just get it from mining? Like, it took us a long time to make a decision, like to figure out what all was actually even happening. But that just goes to the fact that the game needs better feedback kind of across the board. You know what we need, Cetonia? What we need is like some sort of indicator to let you know that like there's a new item in your inventory. Like maybe like a red dot. If we could put a red dot on the inventory whenever... I'm sorry. That was mean. You don't really explore while doing exploration? I disagree. I used to feel that way, but now I feel differently. Because it does take you out to do all sorts of other things. The fact that you don't look around while you're doing exploration isn't necessarily exploration's fault, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think that adding things like the Court of the Elements and stuff like that in space has done a lot to help that out. Oh, what if whenever it gives you an item, it makes it like a gong sound? Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I promise. I'm done. Okay. Man, I was going to talk about serious stuff today. Bruh. Few know the gong, man. Few know the gong nowadays. Okay. Just special things like the loot box, yeah. I think that actually what I'd rather see, honestly, is something happen from the rock itself. Like if the rock, like if it like made a breaking sound and like a piece broke off and got sucked into my ship, then I would know, hey, look, I got something extra, right? Just do that. That sounds easy. Just do that. Yes, there's a new Stradio skin coming. If the exploration grids were larger, making unknown stuff within those grids. I mean, I think that the sleeper caches are a really good example, and we need more lower tier stuff like that. Like, I would almost like to see most of the data sites like be within something else. Have more something you do before you get to the can thing. Like with the landmines and other stuff like that. I agree. This red dot idea, please submit it to the devs. I will have a red dot on my chest. I almost said forehead, but that's a whole nother implication. On my, I'll like look down and have a red dot on my chest if I do such a thing. Asteroid is making slot machines. Ching, 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 ching. Little lights appearing above it. Or maybe, how about this? Here's another way of thinking about it. What if, instead of waste being a random chance, basically waste is baked into the rock itself? So, of the rock, there's a certain percentage of it that is just garbage, right? And so, when you mine it, you mine a chunk of it, and some of that chunk is garbage, right? But if you survey it, then you can significantly reduce the amount of waste that you go through, i.e. the amount of... Now, in this case, it's actually wasted cycles. It's taken out of your yield, right? A certain percentage of your yield is garbage. So what you want to do is be less wasteful. So you scan it down. Now you know exactly where to mine. And if you use smaller scale mining, like mining lasers and lower tier mining, you take smaller bites. You can make sure to be less, you can be more careful, less wasteful. If you use a big strip miner, yeah, you take bigger chunks, but more of that chunk might just be garbage unless it's been properly scanned. Huh? The Edencom data sites are almost good. The real issue is that only 2 of 4 of them are profitable. Yeah, and we need stuff of all different scales. There needs to be a high-sec version of it. To make belts be actual belts that go all the way around the star, and you have to survey. Jeff, let's not get too crazy. It has to be something you can multi-box. Maybe your mining laser could use charges that heat up a rock to a random amount, and the hotter the rock before you extract, the more minerals you get. And then you might vaporize the rock. Yeah, I'm describing Star Citizen mining. Okay, well, you know what? If Star Citizen was a game, then I might be worried. It would be better to also separate ore from asteroids too, i.e. have a rarium in which you... That's a good point, yeah. You could just have the bonus be like, oh, you've surveyed it, so now you just get some tritanium in with your Veldspar. I like it. I mean, there's a lot of potential there, is I think what we're all getting at here. Based in E-Field. I like it. All right. So, let's talk a little bit about what is happening. I'm going to hit the add button first. Maybe. Oh, it says, now would be a good time to try ads, to insert ads. Good, thank you. Creators make more money when they use ads. Give it a try, it says. Anywho. All right. Didn't see that. Well, yeah, the ad thing is weird. I don't know. I just hit the button. All right. Let's talk about the latest scope news. We showed this at the very beginning of the video, but I want to go through it again and kind of break down pieces, including the ticker. Okay, so let's look through it again, and this time I will interrupt it and talk a lot, hopefully.
Hostilities between New Eden's big four empires have been growing over the past.
Hey, Caesar Coda becoming a member. 07 to you. Thank you for that. Very cool. Making multi-box less efficient but still possible is where I'd go. Like, you can still mine with 10 ships, but maybe without crazy micromanaging, you get 75% of the ore that you could have with each ship. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that the Hulk is a good example of that, and Resource Wars is an even better example of that, where you can multi-box them, but because each person, like, you gain so much by active playing that you, like a Resource Wars site, most multi-boxers could definitely finish it with bronze, but there's no, I don't think any multi-boxer is finishing the gold standard on the highest tier of the Resource Wars sites. You need real people to do that. There's just too much to focus on. Now, a couple of them could be multi-boxing with, like, being the booster as an alt or whatever, but, like, at a certain point, you don't need to make it so that multi-boxing can't be done. You just need to make it so that having friends and doing it together is a good idea, right? The problem with multi-boxing isn't that it can be multi-boxed. It's that if dealing with other people and getting them to do their part is too much bullshit, then people will prefer to just do it themselves, right? So what we need is things where it is fun to do it with other people, and you don't feel like you're sacrificing something for it. A good example is the sites that pay out to everybody evenly, right? You're way more inclined to have a friend with you. And yeah, sure, some people are going to multi-box in order to maximize those, but they've made that choice in spite of the fact that they could just do it with a friend. And I think that once you actually give that the choice, you see people try to do that. People want to have fun and play games with their friends. They get into these big multi-box situations because they feel they can't rely on people. That's it. All right. Back to spying.
Last few months, with no sign that the escalation can be reversed. Against this background, with the empires apparently racing to develop advanced power and transportation technologies, a fresh diplomatic crisis has erupted. Allegations of Edencom and Concord agents gathering details on Caldari State research into new shipcaster technology were the spark for a major diplomatic row between the empires. The Minmatar Republic accused the Amar.
So is that Seri Okinawa? Do we now know what Seri Okinawa looks like? Hold on. Wait, isn't Seri Okinawa a girl? Nope, not there. I'll have to look it up. I think she's in. I think they are on Templar 1.
Intelligence assets to covertly.
Also, I don't know who that is. Looks disturbingly like the Empress, but I don't think it's Hamate Couture. Hey, thanks for that. Hey, Divoolej, what's up, man? Divoolej. Whatever. Divoolej. And then he would be, can't remember the Caldari
technology from the Caldari. Subsequently, Caldari sets to covertly
show the other ones?
spark for a major diplomatic row between the new shipcaster
technology. Hold on.
With a spark for a major.
Because there's SOCT, Amar, Caldari. So this is Concord. So those are the delegates to the Concord. So that should be Hamate Kodor or whoever replaced him. Hamate Kodor has been recalled back, which means Obviously, that wouldn't be him, but that is, man, that's one of the CEOs then. Let's see. No, that is the right one. Yeah, the Amarian one is female. Because, yeah, Royal Heir Hamadeh Kador has been recalled. Mimitar Ambassador Chitin Yun. Devon Maladate, so that would have been the other two on the other side. So this is Men's Repala? Is that dude that Men's Repala? The Caldari one? Yeah. So then, who is left in Hamadeh's place? I don't know. We don't know who that is.
Diplomatic row between the empires. The Minmatar Republic accused the Amar Empire of using Edencom intelligence assets to covertly acquire technology from the Caldari. Subsequently, Caldari
That's a nice
state
little look, huh?
investigations
What?
have revealed evidence that supports these allegations. Credible accusations of spying against an ally at such a sensitive time have put a significant strain on relations between the Amar Empire and the Caldari state. Derived from Triglavian technology recovered from the Athenon system, the shipcaster is believed to have the capability to cast ships over vast interstellar distances with pinpoint accuracy.
So this is what the next event is going to be related to, for those of you who don't know. When we talk about the Shadow War, that is the event that's going to lead to the creation of these shipcasters.
Able to bypass gates, silencial jammers, and other defenses, the technology would provide the Caldari Navy with a significant force projection advantage over its rivals.
So, okay, the shipcasters themselves, what we think, based on the descriptions that we have, or what I think, is that what we're seeing here is the shipcaster itself will be used to project into the battlefields, right? That basically people can stage from the HQ and use the shipcaster to jump to wherever the battlefields are. It may be more flexible than that, but that's my guess.
The Scope has learned that the Caldari Navy is already preparing to build a shipcaster at a construction site located in Anamon. The fortified system in the Black Rise region has already seen extensive naval movements and construction, building it up as the Caldari Navy headquarters for war zone operations. As the spying scandal rumbles on in diplomatic circles, it is being reported that senior figures in the Caldari State and Minmatar Republic have begun security cooperation talks in the Caldari system of Arakan, close to the Republic border. The new aggression and apparent duplicity of the Amar Empire comes at a time when the Gallente Federation's militarization of the Intaki system is also coming under scrutiny.
Okay, so this part is very confusing. So let's try to pull this apart a little bit, okay? First of all, it says arrests on Intaki Prime. However, they're not showing the arrest. They don't talk about the arrest. And the arrest is not in the news and brief. So to figure out what they're talking about when it comes to arrests on Intaki Prime, the only arrests that I know of is these. Federal militarization of Intaki raises security status and blocks capsular structures. So this is from the 8th of last month. So just under a month ago, we received this report, and it said, among other things, it says, President Selis Agard's administration continues to maintain that it is acting to, quote, fully secure the Intaki system from any future threat of Caldari occupation while providing for the broader prosecution of efforts to fully liberate Gallente systems within the militia war zone, end quote. Critics of the increasing militarization of the Intaki by the Federation forces allege that measures to be, as Senator Suvio Belleron of the Intaki put it, quote, a flagrant and ongoing breach of the essential sovereignty of the Intaki people, as provided for by the federal constitution and all principles of the Federation, end quote. Supporters of President Agard points to the consent of the Intaki Assembly, with Senator Farron Shu dismissing Senator Belleron's position as amounting to, quote, Intaki for the Intaki and federalism for everyone else. As usual, Belleron is a central federalist cobbler with whom the shoe pinches when he has to wear it, end quote. Citing reports that dissenting Intaki Assembly members have been harassed, arrested, or otherwise suppressed by Federation forces, Belleron hit back. Senator Shu has made a career out of supporting authoritarianism in all of its guises, whether it be the Sengdo paymasters back home or the federal military-industrial money teat he openly suckles on while Agard looks on fondly. So, the accusation here is that Selis Agard says, well, the Intaki Assembly approved of it. But the issue is that members of the Intaki Assembly who have been against these actions have been harassed or even arrested. Now, it's worth noting that all of this happened before the senators came to inspect Intaki. So it was after this event did we get the senators... Where is it? Senators Kellen Ontbad and Shalin Ramnev visit Intaki Prime on fact-finding mission. So they're going on this fact-finding mission. Senator Ontbad is a long-standing member of the Senate, blah, 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 blah. The visit to Intaki Prime by the Senate delegation has been cautiously welcomed by Senator Suvio Belleron, who said, quote, I trust that my senatorial colleagues will be able to see that the federal military is overreached badly here and that the Senate should resist and roll back the militarization of the Intaki system by President Agard's administration, end quote. Jonas Ivstara, leader of the Intaki Autonomists, expresses outright skepticism that the visit would, quote, bear any but the most bitter flirt given the Senate's delegation's focus on talking with the Federation military and the collaborationalist executive council. So after the arrests happened, that's when these senators are showing up. So when we go back to the video, we see that this is actually very likely the senators arriving, because in the descriptions here it says, Senate delegation visits Kanata Yavat Transorbital Launch Facility on Intaki Prime to inspect naval installations. So this is probably the Kenta Yavat Transorbital Launch Facility. Let's see if that comes up with anything. Oh yeah, so this is the facility that they've used in the past to get things mostly on and off the planet. LIDAI negotiates lease for the transorbital launch facility with the Intaki Assembly. This was back in 2019. So that's what this place probably is. And so this would be...
As New Eden's two largest empires appear increasingly
unless there's arrests that we don't know of yet.
Some speculate
if they arrested the senators, that'd be a pretty big deal, right?
that the Republic and state may seek a diplomatic realignment in their own national interests. This is Alton Haveri.
So it looks like it could suggest that these guys walking forward are being arrested by these guys here. It's hard to say because, as we can see from the scene before, the group is walking towards these three individuals.
National interests.
So These guys in the foreground are the 3 individuals, and this is the group walking up to them.
This is Alton Hovery, reporting for the scope.
So my assumption is
This is Alton Hovery.
these guys could be the senators or the senatorial team. I'm trying to remember. Wait. I got an idea. Scope Easter? No, that's not going to work. Eve Scope. Oh my god, I make too many videos. All right.
The call to Commandery Station orbit corpses was stolen by the infiltration group, with other empires and pirate organizations apparently making bids for any venerable Phoenix-class Caldari dreadnoughts. It is assumed that at least some of the leaked information involves advances in capital shipbuilding technology. Shown in Garista's garb, the
Not them. Where's the senators? Does this show the senators? Where's the next one? It's the next one. Here we go. Any of those guys the same? Not even a little bit. All right, well, I feel like I've seen that guy with dreads before. This guy. But it's hard to say. Too much lore from the lore master. Yeah, the guy with dreadlocks looks familiar. I agree. Wait a minute. I think I know where I know him from. It's a player. Like, it's because I was just recently watching these videos. There is one of these things where they interviewed a player and they have his hologram talking. Hey, ha, 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 ha. Is that the one? Is that where I got it from? I don't know. Either way. No, I don't feel so. That's true. We'll have to go hunt for it, I guess. Of course, as soon as I watch you, I fire up the game and fleet up with mine and the homies. Hell yeah. All right. So,
reporting for the scope.
Let's look at the ticker. Interstellar diplomacy rocked by Edencom spying scandal as Empire delegates confer with governments. Federal authorities register increase of Intaki Prime to security status of to 0.5. Concord Inner Circle President Seri Okanara discussing future of Edencom with Provost Marshal Cassia Valkanir. Hold on. In a stunning development, Inner Circle President Seri Okinawa has just announced formal withdrawal as Jovian Directorate from the Inner Circle. The Society Conscious Thought delegation has full successor rate, blah, blah, blah. Speaking to the role of the SOCT in Concord, President Okinawa said the Society, blah, 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 blah. Use a pronoun. President Okinawa was joined at special conference by SOCT Mutashi Reich, introducing him as... Of course, they call... After the... Addressing the status of SOCT. Oh, this is old stuff. Are you serious? That's funny. All right, anything else? Where is it? I I did this transcript. That's funny. Where is it? Is she even mentioned here? How did it pull it up? Weird. Oh yeah, there it is. Nope. That is so weird. Her! It's a her! It's a her! It's a her. There it is. Expresses her gratitude. So that isn't Siri Okanaya? So then, is that Men's Repola? The Quave. Yeah, well.
Against this background, Minmatar Republic.
Wait. What jacket is that? God, we're nerds. I'm nerd. No, he's not. I don't think that's Concord. I don't think that's a Concord jacket, is it? Or is that... Wait a minute. No, I think...
With a spark for a major...
Yeah, you can see Men's Rep... Or you can see, what's his name? The head of the SSCT. So what's that jacket? Hold on, let's find out. Men's... Is that an outerwear? Maybe? Maybe it's just a top. Is it a top? I think it's outerwear. Wait. Oh, hold on. Isn't that Mimitar since one seat is empty? It could be Mimitar. It's just the coloration looks very Amarian, doesn't it? Is that the design? Looks like that could be close to it. Not like that's the actual one, but like a different one. No. So here's my thought, okay? If this could be Men's Repola. And if it is, then that would either be the Caldari logo or it could be the Ishikone logo. But the colors of Ishikone is like black and gold, right? None of these. Let's see. Look under outerwear, not tops. Yeah, I'm looking at outerwear now. So that's the Amar Loyalist jacket. Okay. Chances are it's not going to be this one, but... It looks like it could almost be the right cut. No, it doesn't have the stripes. Wait, wait. Okay, okay. So but I don't think that's it though. Right?
Of using Eden Common Empires. The Minmatar Republic.
He's got the round thing on his shoulders. Let's see if there's a different one. But that's the closest one so far, for sure. Wait. Nope. I know, this is thrilling stuff, guys. Watch me scroll rivetingly. You're enjoying this? What the... Yeah. The dress is red, blue, and what? Blue and black. Nope, I can't find any better examples. So that's got to be it, right? Like it looks close enough. So that would be the. I was looking to see if there was another example of it because, you know, they do recolors and stuff. And now I've lost it. I do remember it was pretty obvious once I found it, though. I feel like I'm close. Yep. There it is. So, this is their Valkyr jacket. This can't be the correct one. right? I just... That seems so strange to be the jacket that he's wearing. Can I do this in a way that isn't awful? Ugh. I think we have a winner. Yeah, it's the same one. But the question is, why would a person with Valkyr jacket be talking in front of the Concorde? But that's undeniably the correct jacket. Well, no, it's not necessarily, because you can see that the side piece here is one color, right? These two parts are the same color, whereas here it's orange, it's brown and black, which are dramatically different from each other. I mean, they may not be the same color exactly, but it looks like they're pretty close. So I suspect this is like a different iteration of the same jacket. We just don't have it. It's actually not missing the circle on the left arm. While he's talking, you can actually see that he does have a circle patch on. Well, the thing is, that I don't think that this is a Valkyr jacket. I mean, like, I don't think he's wearing a Valkyr jacket. I think that there's another jacket that just has a slightly different color scheme that we don't have yet, that isn't associated with something as controversial as the Valkyrs. Do you recognize the logo on the chest? The thing is that it looks circle. It looks like a circle, which is like the Mimitar one, but it looks closer to the Kaldari logo to me. I guess Ishikone Corporation is more red. It's more Ishikone Watch. That's not red. Gold. Plot twist, the guy is a drifter pretending to be a Mimitar. Maybe we've already... I think we've long past overthought this, so let's keep on going. So it's not... It's certainly not Seri Okinawa, though. We can tell you that. It's a silver swirl with red glyphs on it. What, the symbol? See, there is something over there. And that's definitely a you know what? The more I'm close, that looks like the Mimitar logo. Like, honestly, I can see this dark part. Wait, hold on. Like, if I zoom out a little bit and it starts to fade away, the one thing you get is the dark area of this arc. And in the same way, if you look really close here, you're probably not going to see it by looking at my stream looking at it. You can see that little dark part. Yeah, zoom and enhance. Hold on. Can I do that? Hey, that actually worked a lot better than I thought it would. Can you see it now? CSI Miami. All right. So this is Mimitar. So the question is this Chitin Yun then? Also, is he the most pale Mimitar in the history of Mimitar? Or is Men's Repola wearing a Mimitar outfit to show solidarity? Huh? Huh? Oh, Bella Lugosi of Mimitar? Wait. You said that with enough confidence that I want to believe you. It does look like Data. It does look like Data. Wait a minute. Oh. I'm about to say, we have a picture of Men's Repola, but we don't. Ishikone's color is gold. Oh, an old actor. Darn it, I thought we cracked the code. All right, either way. Looks like a vampire? Maybe. Well, I mean, I think that he just looks like a Capsuleer. We look pretty pale most of the time, actually, in real life. You're right. Hold on a second. Hold up. I get it. Yep. That is definitely Chitin Yun. That is 100% Chitin Yun, guys. We did it. We did it, guys. Who mentioned that the chair was empty? Ah! Santiago. Points to Santiago. And anyone else that was trying to tell me. Didn't it say at the beginning of the rolling text who it is? No, it doesn't. That's my point. I don't think. Hold on, let's look. Interstellar diplomacy, rock by Eden Com. Nope, it's just the text down here. So that's what Chitin Yun looks like?
Hostilities between New Eden's big four empires have been growing over the past few months, with no sign that the escalation can be reversed.
That's interesting, to say the least. Guys, we might have finally finished the 2 minutes and 42 seconds video. I don't think so. Yeah, remember, your image is just the way you project yourself into the world. It's not actually, you don't necessarily even look like... I suspect that you don't have to look that way in your clone, but also you can decide what your clone looks like because they print them out for you. Man, I'm now going to have to go through like everything I've ever read about Chitin Yun and find any description of his physical appearance. Because if that's Kaitan Yun, my mind is blown, man. That's amazing. Okay. League allowed to be anti-Mimitar again? Legally, like just like she was when she started as a Cavalier. I don't mind the Mimitar. I don't know why they're ending their alliance with us. Maybe he's a drifter from the Drifter video. No. That's kind of interesting. Well, because Kaitan Yun has been basically the voice of the Mimitar since Empyrean Age. All right. No. The Gallente are only trying to mediate this complete political disaster of spying and runaway technologies as against the AG-12 protocols. The Gallente are simply attempting to bring order back to the universe. That's it. Just wanting to follow the agreements that we have. Let's do what we said we were going to do. Right? I don't think that there's going to be an actual agreement between the Mimitar and the Caldari, by the way. We'll bring you peace by force. Exactly. We wish for peace. But the only way to get there is through war. Stop making me hurt you. All the news points that way too. Well, right now, I mean, but diplomatic measures almost never work. And in the changes to come, there is no more allegiances. There is no Mimitar and Caldari alliance. There is no Amar and whatever. It's just the two wars. Which I think is actually a pretty good transition to talking about direct enlistment. Let's be done with the video for now and talk about direct enlistment. For now, hold on, Riley. Spoilers. Let me get there. So, we are on Singularity. And they just recently updated it today with some more stuff. So we're going to look at this. What is direct enlistment? Well, we do have a new upcoming event with the Shadow War, but it seems like we will also be getting the direct enlistment feature we've been looking for since Uprising. Direct enlistment is the ability for you to join a militia in faction warfare without having to leave your corporation or alliance. So a couple of things already. One, the old way of doing things is still there. A corporation can join faction warfare in its total, okay? Two, corporations and corporations can decide which factions their members are allowed to participate in. And three, participation in the war could put you at war with your own corporation alliance members. So let's look at these things. Here we are as my alliance, my corporation leader character. And we're going to see that she is not in faction warfare. And neither is the Convocation of Empyreans, right? Malro is also not in faction warfare, right? As we would expect. However, I can go over here to social corporation. Now, I am the CEO. Only the CEO can see this page. In the corporation area, under wars, there is a new tab called Direct Faction Enlistment. These are the factions that your members are allowed to join. By default, they are all switched on, meaning your members can directly enlist with any faction. Changes will be applied immediately for docked or logged off members and at the earliest convenient moment for members who are logged in or undocked. So, directors can as well, according to the dev blog. I think that no, it specifically said CEO only. Never mind. Yeah, that does say that. Then where did I get that information from? Hold on. Oh. Ha. Ha ha. It's from a string. That jacket's dope. Yeah, I know. See, in one of the strings it says only CEOs can edit the Faction Warfare Direct Enlistment whitelist. So maybe that's changed. Either way, so I can change these and it would allow me to apply. And so if I hit apply here, I can now join the Gallente or the Caldari, right? So I can now open up my thing, my activities, faction warfare, and I can see that I can go to an enlistment office. Now it's going to say that I can go to an enlistment office, whichever one I choose. Like I can choose a MAR, which I'm not eligible to join, but because I'm the CEO, I could theoretically join with the whole corporation. So it still lets me go there. So I'm going to go to this location. What happens if you are members that are enlisted with a faction and the CEO unchecks that option? So yeah, that's what we were talking about. And what I'm hopefully going to demonstrate here, which is that the answer to that is that basically if you're undocked, if you're docked or offline, it immediately removes you from faction warfare. If you are undocked and online, then it waits until one of those two things are true. And it triggers a 24-hour cooldown in which you cannot join again. And that's in faction warfare itself, not in any given faction.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
And there's also strings for show affected members, hide affected members, factions your members are allowed to be enlisted with, and stuff like that. So they may actually even add in more details to allow us to do this. But you can now see that I can enlist my corporation and I can enlist myself. So I'm going to enlist myself into the militia. I can't join it because I'm not friendly with them. That's pretty funny. Well, I guess we just go to Charmerant then. That's right. As an individual, you don't get to to hide your standings behind your corporation.
Warp drive active.
Ash is secretly Caldari. Mortis is Caldari. Ash is Empyrean. This is not Ash. Does this look like Ash to you? Surely all players will join Caldari? No, I am none of those things. I, the player, have no affiliation, per se. Well, that's not really true. I'd say I'm pretty affiliated with the Gallente, but I'm like I said, I'm more Empyrean. I'm pro Empyrean. Whatever gets the job done. No. So, okay. I really do have a headcanon for all this shit. Mortis Astarte is actually a woman that Ashtarothi originally hired to be her front man. So, like, that's why she's all prim and proper in industry and doesn't ever do any combat. She's the face of all of Ash's business and administration. And she has been for quite some time. She has to put up with Ash. So the other thing that I want to point out, though, is if I go to these faction warfare thing, if you go to it in the live server, it'll say Caldari at war with Gallente and Minmatar. But now it only says at war with Gallente. So they've split it now into two separate 1v1 wars. However, those wars also have the capability of adding in allies and removing them, and it seems to indicate it on the page. So this has some pretty interesting ramifications. But let's look at the ability to do the direct enlistment for, while we're talking about it. So the thing is this. We've talked about this before, right? Like, at this point, who knows? The Amar and the Caldari could, or sorry, the Minmatar and the Caldari could start working together. The Gallente and the Amar might start working together. It may depend on what we do, whether or not these allegiances are able to be made. But what happens when the Gorestas chime in on this whole thing, right? What they're doing is making a system in which different entities can interact with one another, with territory, etc. And they're starting with faction warfare, but they're making it more and more decoupled. So in this, you could take this exact same system and make Amar go to war with Sancha. And then you just make a new faction warfare area within Stain, and now there is faction warfare with the pirates, for example, right? So this has a ton of potential in making this a dynamic world, right? It may seem very simple, but what they've done is they've made it so that instead of faction warfare being this thing, and instead of just making it a four-way war, they've made it so that things can change, that it's flexible, which is really cool. All right. So I'm going to enlist. So now I'm in the Caldari state. I'm in the Caldari state. I can come here and I can look at this and I can see that I am in Mauro. Mauro is not in the state. I'm in my convocation. Convocation is not in the state. But I am also an agent of the Caldari state. And if you look at me and my profile, you can see member of Mauro and militia Caldari state. So now I'm in the militia without being in the corporation. So let's see if this works. I can now go to corporations and uncheck Caldari state and hit apply. It says members of your corporation, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't say who it is. I hit yes. Now the question is, am I still in the state or not? I am still in the state. Well, it may not be done. What is the benefit of factions taking territory? Well, it can influence faction campaigns. You want your side to win. I like systems to be colored green than blue. Enemies of the Gallente Federation. I'm still in the state. Yeah, it didn't kick me out. Well, you know, that's why this is the test server. But that actually brings up a good point, which is that I think that one of the reasons why this event is taking so long is because it is extensive and they are still putting in work, right? Like, it's not done. Although, so here's the big piece of all of this, though. What? Oh. So, weird. Anywho, so if we go back to here, there is a mass test on Monday, March 6th. So this Monday at 1700 UTC, there's a mass test for client performance, stability, and experience of the turret, audio improvements from fleet fight situations. So that's good. But what I find interesting here is that this is actually a pretty good indication. This is why I was saying, like, there's a pretty good chance that this could theoretically come out next week. Because if this mass test goes well, like, why would you do a mass test on Monday? Right? You do a mass test on Monday because it's your go, no go for launch, basically, for your patch that goes live on Tuesday, right? I mean, that is speculation, to be sure, but I think that's a promising lead, and you can see the amount of things that are being put onto Singularity involving all of this that that seems to track, right? Now then, it was pointed out yesterday by CCP Kestrel that right now you can join faction warfare, but you can't leave. So it could just very well be that, like, that still is true. And so I should have left, but the function that removes me from faction warfare isn't put into the game yet. Activities, faction war. Retire. Oh, no, I can just retire myself. So it didn't kick me out, but I also can retire. They're working on it. Pretty cool stuff, though. Yeah, we did make a Hotel California reference at the time too. Hotel Caldari, yes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit in the end here. Let's talk about ads. I'm going to do an ad first. Maybe. Boom. Haha. Okay. Also, for those of you who didn't get an ad, I will say now is a great opportunity to like the stream if you've been enjoying yourself. And we're about to jump into the Shadow War. Okay, my fellow Empyreans, today I want to break down for you everything that I know about the upcoming faction campaign, Shadow Wars. So, Shadow Wars is the latest faction campaign. Before we go into it, I want to explain a little bit about what a faction campaign is. A faction campaign is kind of a newer concept for CCP, where they are trying to do these narrative arcs. So the previous faction campaign lasted just about 2 months. And on the Amar Mimitar side, it was about the control of 3 different constellations and these hacking sites. Whereas on the Gallente Caldari side, it was about control of 1 constellation, and there was some mining. There was a mining event, more or less, that led into a data collection event, like hacking as well. Okay, so. And throughout that process, the Caldari managed to build a new Stargate connection between Samanuni and Amignon. Between Samanuni and Athenoon. And the Amar managed to accidentally partially blow up Turner, causing a major critical event with the star. blowing up Turner 1 and causing huge amounts of damage to the Turner 1 station. So that was the previous faction campaign. But we have a new faction campaign coming up soon. So the difference between a faction campaign and an event is that a faction campaign can last longer than a normal event and happen at the same time as other events potentially. But also B, faction campaigns by definition change the world in some ways. Now that could be big, it can be small, it can alter the course of the plot line. It's very hard to actually pinpoint like the changes that have happened recently as being like what would have played out differently if the faction campaign had turned out differently. But it is very obvious that the faction campaign did in fact dictate how it played out, right? The Amignon to Intaki Stargate would not be there if the faction campaign had ended up in a different way. So in the same sort of light, we are about to get into the next faction campaign. And this faction campaign is a direct follow-up of the previous one. So what's happening is that now that the Triglavians' invasion is over, the four empires have begun their own research into the Triglavians and their technology. The Edencom facility, or Edencom had a facility in Othanoon in which they were investigating the Triglavians' facility in Othanoon that was doing experiments and developing what they call novel transport technology, effectively beaming technology, the ability to transport people and things to far-reaching distances without the use of Sinos, etc., etc. So that is what Edencom was looking into when they got into a confrontation with the Triglavians, causing them to have to come back to their facility, causing the cloak to fall, and allowing Caldari to get to find out about what's going on, and then seize control over this facility, all of its information, and research this novel transportation technology for themselves. So at this point, the Caldari have more or less mastered the transportation technology to the point where they feel like they can transport ships to other locations with an unbounded range through without the needs of Sinusaurals, through Sinosaural jammers, and without the need of Stargates. So this has a huge advantage to them, especially in faction warfare. The problem is that it appears that these these ideas, this shipcaster, requires an immense amount of power, or somehow needs something from the stellar transmuter. So on the other side of the war zone, like I said, like we were talking about, the Arshat stellar transmuter fell into the hands of the Amar during the events of invasions. Then the Amar began doing reverse engineering upon that structure until they finally built their three own transmuters in Egmar, Vard, and Turner. Egmar and Vard were both captured by the Mimitar. Turner was held by the Amar until such a time that Turner exploded, like I mentioned. Both the Mimitar and the Amar, however, completed their research tasks on those transmuters. The Mimitar were able to successfully shut down there too. So now we have the Mimitar and the Amar that have mastered transmuter technology and are now building their own transmuters on AO blue stars within proximity of their new headquarters. And we have the Caldari building their shipcaster on their side. No one has all of the technology that they need yet. And so that is what the Shadow War is about. Okay? The Amar need the novel transportation technology of the Caldari, and the Caldari need the transmuter technology to be able to build their own transmuter. The Gallente have no technology because we failed our task in the last faction campaign. Okay, so got it. We need to go to these the other empires and steal from them the technology that they have and bring it back to my own guys. Cool. How do I do that? Well, the way we do this is there are 3 different kinds of sites that are now going to be available in there's going to be 3 different kinds of sites that are all necessary to do in order to succeed in this event. Okay, we have a hacking style site, a salvage style site, and a combat style site. The hacking site allows only Navy faction and T1 frigates. So that no pirate faction, no Acero, no T2, no none of that. Like Navy faction frigate is the best that can go in there. Likewise, the salvage place is Navy destroyers and down. However, frigates and all that stuff, T2 is completely allowed. It's very similar to like the old small complexes, right? But T2 destroyers are not allowed, but T1 and Navy are, and all frigates are. And then in the combat site, it's T1 and Navy battle cruisers, and all ships cruiser and below are allowed in, okay? Now, where are these sites going to spawn? Well, the sites spawn in the faction warfare zones of that empire. So if you want to steal from the Caldari, you're going to need to open up your faction warfare map, for example. Go to Activities, Faction Warfare. And the blue systems here are where you would steal, potentially run the sites to steal Caldari technology. And over here, the red, all of these systems would be good for stealing transmuter technology. However, there is actually more to it than that. Hold on one second. Darn it. Hold on. Let me look up the thing. Okay. So, and then there is the Kasana, the Raya, the Tiat, and the Ani constellations. So let's look at those. So, Kasana includes Mehitor. So the constellation with Mehitor and the one adjacent to it, Ryra. These two constellations will also spawn the Amar sites. Well, actually, I guess they both have the same sites. And then on the Mimitar side, it's going to be Tiat and Ani. Tiat is the system, or is the constellation that contains, or that's adjacent to Eugides. Oh, yeah. Tiat is where Ammo is. And Harar. And the Ani constellation is not related. Interesting. Where's that at compared to everything else? There's Langasi. Oh, it's next to Heck. So yeah, this is all the same area, more or less. So those are where you're going to be able to get the Caldari Amar sites and the Amar Mimitar sites, and then Ikoken and Minin, which Iokin, whatever, is where Onamon is, and Samanuni. And then likewise, Minin is where it should be right next to it. Yeah, there it is, Minin constellation. The Gallente obviously don't have anything because we don't have anything to steal. So, okay. So these sites are going to be both in high sec and low sec. However, a feature of these sites, all three of them, are that if you go inside of them, it gives you a suspect flag. So you can do these in high sec. However, the act of doing them in high sec will give you a suspect flag. So you basically make high sec into your own personal low sec just by running these sites. Because not only can somebody come into those sites and kill you, but they can also kill you as you're moving around. Because for the next 15 minutes, you are eligible to be attacked by anyone in high sec. So that could be potentially a pretty big deal. So while you can run these things in high sec, there's a really good incentive to just might as well go run them in low sec, right? Okay, so in the data site one, you're going to have to go in. There's rats and bad guys, and then there's cans to hack inside. Let me see. So there's the Imperial Research so there's the comm tower, the mainframe, and the data bank. So there's all different tiers of hacking things. So there's probably going to be multiple cans within a site. And then inside of those, we will get pieces to the shipcaster related stuff. And you can be attacked by rats in those sites as well. Let me see here. Nope. Okay. What do you think will happen to the Empire if an Empire only gets one of the pieces of the tech? Will be able to continue collecting Shadow War stuff from them or after the event is over? That's the thing. I don't know whether or not there's going to be a deadline on this thing or not. Like, I just don't know. Like, when the Gallente failed to build their gate after a certain period of time, the Caldari just shut it down. I don't know if that's going to be the same thing here. The best way to run the hacking sites in the last event was to kill all enemies except for one to prevent them respawning and then hack everything. It's possibly true, but also in the last event, you could use an Astero. So the salvage site likewise have rats, and the salvage itself suggests that A, you need to kill all the rats before you can salvage it, and B, salvage drones is not going to work. You cannot use salvage drones. It says only T1 faction, T2 frigates, and T1 faction destroyers can enter into these sites. Hostile vessels have been spotted in these locations, so be prepared for combat. You will need to equip a salvager module to recover the technology from the courier wreck after you destroy the enemy ships. Due to the advanced security features on the couriers, salvage drones will not be able to salvage the wrecks. Right, yeah, exactly. It's going to be harder for the Caldari to protect Caldari interests, especially since the Caldari, like, they're not going to be rewarded for doing anything in that area, right? The Caldari were able to dominate because we both needed control over Othanoon. They controlled Othanoon. They made it so that there was, like, we couldn't really make very much progress. So in this case, though, the Caldari need to be in a totally different place than we are, right? Because they don't... Hey, thanks for that. They don't need to be in... they don't need to be in their own territory for this. They need to be in other people's territories. So it doesn't, like, the Caldari aren't incentivized in the same way to protect their own, like, protect it from other people's doing it. Now, the question is that A, is this event going to go on until everybody gets it? And B, are people going to be happy if that's true? Like, is people going to be like, well, you said that there's going to be an impact, but now, you know, everybody's just going to get it eventually. And I don't know how to necessarily feel about that. I'm like, yeah, sure, we might not get it in the end, but it also kind of sucks that we never got the Stargate. I think not getting one of these shipcasters would be a huge deal. So I think that just simply not getting it for a long time might be sufficient punishment, if that makes sense. But we'll have to see. I mean, like, we are in uncharted waters. So let's talk about this. So the thing is this, each of those types of sites provide one of the different items that are necessary, right? So we have 3 different items that are necessary. We have, hold on. New, I think of how to look this up. Blueprint. There we go. and come over here. Okay, so here we have it. So once you have done your sites, either combat, hacking, or salvaging, you get your piece. Now, here's the kicker, okay? You can't just go and turn in the thing, right? This isn't a matter of I hack the cans and I turn in the stuff and I get my rewards. That doesn't cut it. That only gets you part of the way. You can't just go and do one thing and complete the event, period. It doesn't do anything for it. Like, you can get the points because there's points for doing the different hacking and stuff, but you don't get the cans, the reward cans, unless you turn in the data cores, which require all 3 pieces. So we need Plasma Physics 1, and it requires 50 Pyrite, 50 Noxium, the 3 pieces that are recovered from the different stuff, and then a recursive computing module, which a recursive computing module is a tier 4 or top tier commodity. So you're going to have to work together or do all 3 tasks to collect up these things. And then once you do that, you build one of the data cores, and that's the thing that you can turn in. Okay? So you can't just turn in what you hack. You have to combine it with things that you salvage and things that you get out of a blown up laboratory, because that's the combat site. And then once you've constructed those things, then you can sell them on the market. Now, the other thing is that, remember, more than just you want these things. In the same way as I said earlier, the Minmatar and the Amarr have the same sites. They also have the same results. So both the Amarr, all 3 races, or, all 3 non-Caldari races want the data core pieces for the Caldari tech, the transportation tech. So these things are also going to be able to be bought, sold, and traded with one another in order to forward your own forces' objectives. So that's all pretty cool, I think. So, and I think that also explains why certain of the skin rewards that we've looked at for this are the way they are. Like the Red Force and Blue Force skins in particular are likely part of the event track that you get for just completing stuff. Whereas the new Penumbral skins might be hopefully are from the caches that you get for turning things in. There's also cool drugs that you get for turning things in. Let's look at the rewards real quick. So this is the skin that is related to the event. It's called Penumbral Shadow. It is assumed that this is going to be one of the rewards from the cache because... nope, actually it might not be. No, this might be a reward for the track because it says that it's applied directly to the skin when redeemed. So this isn't something that you get as a token. This is a thing that directly applies to your account. So it could very well be that the login reward is the red versus blue, and the Penumbral Shadows are for the track, right? So if you join the Minmatar track, or the Gallente track, for example, if you side with the Gallente, then you'll get the Vexor Navy, Megathron, and Megathron Navy skins. Whereas if you join the Amarr, you get the Omen Navy, Apocalypse, and Apocalypse Navy skins. That's possible. We'll have to see. Probably, actually, it's a combination of the two, because there's racially balanced ones for the Red Force and Blue Force as well. We've looked at these already before, but like, the point is that like it could very well be that the Red Force or Blue Force is the early reward, and then these are the later rewards. I don't know whether or not there's going to be other skins and stuff in the cans. Let's see if we have anything there. Like I said, there's damage boosters, application boosters, electronic and mobility boosters for each race that amplify that race's weapon systems. Where am I looking for? I don't know what I was looking for, but it's fine. Oh, there's the lockbox. Hold on. Here we go. Shadow War reward crate. provided by the race to reward loyal capsuleers who assist in the development and construction of the interstellar shipcaster and ammo. So there's no telling what's in the crates. Hold on. Oh, nope, it says it right here. Capsuleers who deposit stacks of stellar transmuter data cores into this structure will receive special Shadow War reward crates containing a variety of rewards, including loyalty tokens, which can be sold for ISK on the market and participating that race's station. So it doesn't actually say what else will be in there. Cool. So that pretty much covers it. I will say this. So the rats, as far as it is concerned, we have Garistus, we have the Garistus, we have the Angels, and then we have these mercenaries. Now the mercenaries got updated today, so these guys are actually all correct now. So you've got the cheetah, you've got the raptor, the hyena, the wolf, the draugr, the rapier, the Ichthyrsa, the tornado, and the panther. So what's interesting about these is that all of these guys are Minmatar or Caldari. And the reason why that's interesting is because the last time we saw these things was the smugglers, which were the Deathlesses group, which is a combination of criminal organizations from the Minmatar and the Caldari. So it is very likely that these unknown hostiles could very well be part of that group. However, as I mentioned earlier, the Angels and the Garistus also have rats that are put in involving this. However, their rats are not ready for prime time. If you see, they're still the default neutrals. They don't have any bounties. They don't have anything besides the text saying that they are looking for the shipcaster-related research. So I don't know if this means that they're going to update these things before it goes live fully, or if these guys are going to be involved later on. But I think it's an interesting question to ask. What is the Deathless, the Angels, and the Garistus going to do with this technology if and when they manage to get their hands on it? Like, why is CCP introducing this whole concept, right? I think that that's an interesting angle to this too. So I think that that's about all I know about the Shadow War that is upcoming so far. It is also directly connected to direct enlistment, so you will be able to, or not directly connected, but it seems to be connected to direct enlistment, so you can join the faction war of your choice and do plexes and make ISK and LP as you are doing these at the same time as you're getting the pieces for your friends. Another thing that's kind of interesting to note is because the four-way war, or the allies are ending, now Gallente can go into a Mars space in order to collect or get these data cores. Likewise, Minmatar are free to go into Caldari space in HiSec in order to find the sites there. But remember, they will still get a suspect flag upon going in. So it's going to be really interesting. There's a lot that they're doing with this event. There's probably still things that we're missing at this point. So go ahead and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like the video and leave comments or whatever if you know of anything else. But, you know, if there's anything else that we learn about this, I will be making videos and follow-ups as soon as possible. But I think that that's about all that we got for this. So on behalf of everyone, I've been Ashrathi, the voice of New Eden, and I'd like to thank all of my supporters, especially Abyssus, Aikawarazu Chan, Arydanika the Queen, BlackRoseNoble, Dajat Lemmont, Drake, GuldanAgeStories, J. Kuhn, LM1, Lumi, Malak Starfire, Midnight Space Monkey, Not Just Fun, Seeds of Plenty, Serenolin with No Eyes, Syliana Vel'ash, Tgen Tgen, Nephilim, Grendel, Zaul Nex, as well as my immortal tier patrons, Eboleet, May, Merc Utan, and Rid. Thank you guys so much. And you know what? I don't know if you guys have been following, but there's a lot of new names on that list, and I am humbled by the fact that people are really keying in on the material that I've started to make recently. And I'm just happy to do it, guys. Thank you for sharing it around. Thank you for liking, commenting, and all that kind of stuff. I've been Ashrathi. Until next time, I'll see you in space. Okay. Not going anywhere. Yet. Soon. Soon. Do you know if the 300 M3 smugglers livestock have any use in the previous event? No, they didn't. But we got the boo book. You always fall for it. I do the fish. Oh, shoot. I have an idea, though, because I need to... what I need to do, what I've been thinking about doing is saying, like, if you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, and then, if you're watching this as a recording, then and go into my shtick to really indicate it, and then we can go back and edit out that part if need be. I'm working on it, guys. Look, I really just want to focus on what the hell Celis Agard's doing, but I'm working on the whole like YouTube shtick thing. I do really appreciate all of the support, guys. You guys are awesome. All right. I'm always passively listening while working, so it pops over my ears, and I'm like, oh, it's over. It is a process. Also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm wearing my my Trig hoodie today. I've also been thinking about some new merch to put in the store, but I need people to show interest in the merch that I've already put on, and then I can put more stuff up. Any rate, so let's see. What else is there? What else is there? Oh, there's Kellen Antbod. I'm checking out the Caldari Navy Harbor in Anamon. Is it cool? Does make me wonder if the Sancha have their own version of the shipcaster tech. Well, the Sancha has the portal gun. They don't need shipcasters. They have a portal gun, which is basically like a portable shipcaster. So here's a thought, guys. Okay, hold on. And I think I talked about this yesterday, maybe. But here's an interesting piece to all this, okay? So the stellar transmuters that are being built by the Amar Mimitar are each on AO Blue Stars 4 jumps away from their headquarters in both cases, right? Now, aside from the maybe potential coincidence that that's true, the real point that I want to make is that the shipcaster and the transmuter are not in the same location, even though the text says that it's powered by. It says each empire has requested capsular support to obtain research data required to complete the understanding of both technologies, and then to assemble the shipcaster structures powered by the nearby stellar transmuters within their territory so that they can use them to provide their militias with a significant mobility advantage in factional warfare. But, like, how do you use a stellar transmuter 4 star systems away to power a device, right? And I find that very interesting. I think that that's like, they're developing the stellar transmuter technology, which has had all kinds of profound impacts. But here we're doing it not to modify spatial topology, but to power something. Players will need to move the Isogen 5 from the transmuter to the shipcaster. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that, yeah, it seems to suggest that they are extracting Isogen 5 from the star and moving it to the transmuter to use it to power the shipcaster, which basically would, if that is true, would function to further prove or at least validate my assumption that Isogen 5 is the secret to the rogue drones and the filament technology, right? That the rogue drones have mastered Isogen 5 on some level and used it to burrow holes through reality and accidentally ended up in the abyss, which is what triggered all of this stuff in the first place. So, if that's true, that could be really, really, really exciting for what it means about this Triglavian technology. Now, here's the thing. How will this technology translate to things that are usable by players, right? So we know that the shipcasters that are being built with the novel transportation technology is designed to broadcast, send their ships somewhere in the war zone. But the transportation technology is supposed to be more refined than that. This is just a crude version of it. I think that it's possible that this technology will eventually lead into the shooter, because it's a valuable way to move personnel from one place to another, if you refine it to that level. But the question is, you now have these two tech. You have the transportation technology, and you have the transmuter technology. Which of those and how will they end up in the hands of the players? How will they end up as things that we can build and do? Now, if we remember, if we go back to the news, let me look this up real quick. Sort of like a interstellar coupling isolation. Well, what I'm saying, yeah, well, that is possible, but I think it's more interesting to think about, because they keep on talking about material being pulled out of the transmuter. So I suspect that it powers it through what's being extracted, which could be Isogen 5. That's all. I don't think that they're literally transmitting actual like wattage across different solar systems, although they could be doing it through the Stargate network for sure. What am I looking for? No. All right, hold on. Where is it? What's happening in Eve? Is that it? New release? What's happening? Is this it? Where's the... Gosh darn. Oh, wait. I think we can look it up here. Yeah, here we go. So if we remember this page, the expansion's image is a blue star being transmuted. So the chances are the transmuters, at least, are going to be given out to the players at this point. So I think that this faction campaign, if you think about it, either this faction campaign or the next one is going to lead into the next expansion. So I think that while the empires are using the transmuters to power their shipcaster technology, who knows what the empire, what our guys are going to do, right? Isogen 5 mining fields spawn at stellar. It is so, like, the idea of mining Isogen 5 and having it be in the hands of players is so terrifying. I don't think people understand. But I think that, so think about it this way. What if a empire, like a player group, what if in the last war, Pappy could have assembled a shipcaster-like device to broadcast themselves into 1DQ and that constellation, regardless of cyanojammers. However, it would require them to be in control of an AO blue star and build a transmuter there to power their shipcaster. All of these facilities are vulnerable to attack, but they can literally construct a siege weapon, like a siege engine, like a way to breach the walls, as it were. I think that's a very interesting way of doing it. I also continue to think that we will get the ability to manipulate space-time, maybe increasing the number of wormholes, but also allowing for rare, like, abyssal material to be mined within those systems. So these are all different ways that the players can customize their own areas. It could very well be that these shipcasters for empires may phase out Encelibix jump gates. Who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out. But that seems to be where we're going with that. And then, of course, the winter expansion is when Tashmurkon invades Stain. We're not that far away from the next expansion, guys. The shipcaster seems like tech that would lend itself easily to become a DD superweapon like Star Wars Episode 7. Oh, it's not a Doomsday. It's a... I guess you could transport the bomb. They set us up the bomb. I think the shipcaster is a counter to CCP, making it so that we can't stage infection warfare content stations. I think that, I think that the shipcasters as they're coming out are to make it so that, like, what I see now is that there will be groups in faction warfare that live in the HQ and specialize in running the battlefields. Because one of the biggest problems with battlefields is having to run back and forth all over the place to chase them down in your biggest, most clunkiest ships. So if I had a centralized location, the headquarters, that I could have my stuff staged in, that I could then jump into wherever they're needed through the shipcaster, I see that as being a place that faction warfare players like invest in. In fact, I've been considering, like, well, if that happens, what if Mauro moves there? What if we build up a new market there? Like, there should be a full market in Intaki if that's the case. Lord knows there's enough stations. And I think that the idea of, like, having... because, like, it used to be that faction warfare was, like, low-sec only. But there's a lot of things have changed to make it so that that's not necessarily true. And so the idea of having this, like, high-sec headquarters... that you use to project outward from, I think is actually a pretty cool idea. All of a sudden, planets start blowing up. Yeah, I mean, you never know. Is it good for CCP to be making changes than making features to mitigate their own decisions? Is that good dev time? Yes. And the reason why is because, like, things... It's not... Like, these things play together. One doesn't circumvent the other. One doesn't render the other one negligible. But it's like the two parts of the equation coming together, right? A good example is... the ganking changes that happened with Uprising, right? And after that, like the idea that, like, well, it's a contradiction for them to make it so that ganking is harder, but also abyssal people have to be in more dangerous areas, like pick a lane. And the answer is that CCP don't have a lane. They want good game design, which is good game design comes from the conflict of interesting choices, right? And so they're adding nuance by making new considerations and new tools to interact with those considerations. So there's now, they are asking us to consider more things, but also giving us the tools to deal with those things better. They have to cut some limbs to enable new growth. Well, it depends on how the game design is bad, right? If there's a lack of things to do, then they add in new things, like the hacking sites. But if it's a lack of the thing being interesting, then they might make things more challenging. Like a good example of that is the industry changes, right? The people that were invested in industry at the time, it does seem pretty bad because it just literally made it harder. But it made it harder in a way that makes it so that it's a more smooth incline for those who are going through the process. So they didn't circumvent one for the other or anything like that. They're just trying to make a better system, and different pieces of it are ready at different times. Also, I think that when we talk about these sorts of things, we forget that it's all a journey, right? Like a good example for this is the capital thing. Well, why would CCP make capitals so expensive if they're just going to turn around and let us do it again? Is that them admitting that it was a mistake? No, it wasn't. It was them making sure that we couldn't build capitals during that time. Time passes. Things happen. Effects change, right? So it wasn't the time for people to be mass building capitals at the moment. But now that scarcity was over, CCP was interested in making that into a thing again. So it wasn't a mistake. It was different steps at different, or different plans at different steps of the process. But I do want to actually circle back and ask what exactly is what is it that's mitigating? What about the shipcaster change mitigates their own decisions? If you're talking about station lockout, the point is that station lockout doesn't exist in Frontlines anyways. Now, they've already weakened station lockout. So I'm not sure exactly what you would see this as mitigating in their own decisions. I feel like they gave us a new problem, which is the fact that battlefields can show up anywhere, and now they're giving us a potential solution to that problem. Now it's out of the way. You now need to completely upend your entire operation and try to operate in HiSec, which a lot of people aren't going to do in order to utilize it. But it's an option for those people that want to dedicate their focus on, you know, those bigger battle fights. And hopefully it'll lead to more interesting battlefields too, as reinforcements are going to be able to come in easier. So I don't think this is mitigating anything. If anything, this is an acceleration of things. Is the station lockout that in the past we could have stockpiled ships to deploy and they made it so that we couldn't do that as well? Where the ship casting, we just stockpile at the HQ? We always had station lockout. Station lockout actually was made easier. Station lockout was reduced in power. It used to be that any system owned by the enemy could not be, you couldn't access. So, but more importantly, like I said, if you consider the idea of the battlefields, you can't really stockpile for a battlefield because battlefields can spawn in any of the front lines. So depending on where your front lines are, they could, you know, be in dramatically different places. You'd have to stage multiple complete sets of things in some of the biggest, bulkiest, most expensive equipment that we use, you know? So I think it makes sense for there to be people that live in the headquarters as well as those who control territory within LoSec. If you think about it, well, yeah. CCP may eventually allow faction warfare organizations to build casters in the war zone for militia use so they can operate them out of their home systems. Perhaps they wouldn't have the same range, though. Well, remember, you can't just build them willy-nilly. You've got to get one of them AO blue stars. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works. And I don't think that they're going to let us build them. I think that, like I said, if anything, I think it's going to go to nullsec. That said, I'd really like to see the Sino-Jammers return to LoSec again. That was by far, in my opinion, the funniest part of Invasions. Because, like, everybody was not really caring at the time. And, like, when Edencom was taking systems, people were like, I don't really care, it's just PvE. And then Edencom started dropping Sino beacons, or Sino-Jammers. And then people were like, wait a minute, I don't want these systems to be held by... I'm like... You know, Edencom was projecting out Sino beacons and taking control over systems beyond their own during the invasion system, and CCP kind of pulled that back eventually, but whatever. I think a positive is it'll enable smoother transport logistics on the back end, so more potential for higher throughput of destruction. I like destruction. Yeah, exactly. I think that, again, I mean, Hades is still going to be Hades. There's going to be reasons to have infrastructure and facilities in space. It's just another option. I mean, like, the thing is that there's a lot of the currently existing faction warfare groups, and this might be a good point. A lot of the currently existing faction warfare groups are also very piratey. So if you just said, oh, well, now we have a HiSec base, they're not going to be very happy with that because there's a lot of people that don't worry about their security status. But a lot of those people predate changes like the suspect flag in Plexus. So we could just see a new group of loyalists to each of the empires that are effectively HiSec dwellers that do things in faction warfare space. going to be interesting. All right. Anything else? It is Friday. Oh, okay, yeah. One more thing about all of this, okay? So, here's the thing, okay? Last year, with the events, we got these new characters. For the Angels, we got Zohar. For the Caldari, for the Garistas, we got Esri, or the Tanuki. For the Gallente, we got Leopold. For the Thucker, for the that's it, right? That's it. So what's interesting about that is that while Leopold and Esri are real people, like look, Esri Hakazosu is a real person that you can look up. And you can even do agents on her, right? Same with Leopold. The characters that the characters that they introduced during the Easter event, right? The Angels and the Garistas are the two people who got highlighted in those things. The Angels with Zohar and the Garistas with Esri. And those are the two factions that are involved in this war, or in the Shadow War, besides the mercenaries, which were the Deathless, which also connected to all of this, because Leopold was Esri's contact, but also a secret agent, a double agent, well, actually triple agent, working for the Deathless. I don't know how to spell his name. Here we go. Here's Leopold. He's still in the Senate. That's pretty funny. So I've been asking whether or not they're going to return to this plot, right? The idea of like Esri and Leopold and the Deathless, and it really looks like this event like has all of those same characters in play. What I find interesting is that the Guardians Gala is the one that got canceled this year, and the Guardian Gala's character, which is the first one, the Angel guy, he is the one that isn't in the game and isn't directly tied to the Deathless as far as we know. But, you know, Easter is still coming, and this spying row is leading directly into it and stems exactly from this thing a year ago. So just to, like, let's remind ourselves where we're at, okay?
Concord has made a major breakthrough in its fight against a rising tide of smuggling, uncovering a major network of smuggler and mercenary bases across New Eden. Sources in the Directive Enforcement Department have indicated that Thucker and Caldari organized crime and mercenary groups have played a key role in building up this network. Concord has shared this information with all empires and is requesting the assistance of Capsuleers in disrupting this extensive web of hideouts and dead drop hacking sites. Smuggler hideouts are reported to be spread across New Eden, including a number of bases hidden in the depths of wormhole space. Concord has broadcast the gravimetric and electromagnetic signatures of these locations so the illegal sites can be found using onboard ship scanners. Smuggler dead drop and stash sites have been detected in all regions. with these requiring scanning and hacking to discover and disrupt. Concord has declared that any materials recovered by Capsuleers in the course of dismantling the smuggling network will be legitimate salvage to be retained as payment for services to interstellar law and order. Against the background of increased criminal and smuggling activity, a serious diplomatic crisis has sprung up between the Caldari state and the Gallente Federation, as evidence has emerged pointing towards Gallente involvement in the recent mass defection of infiltrators and spies within the Caldari state. An investigation by Caldari Counterintelligence has identified a man meeting with Ezri Hakuzosu days prior to her defection as Leopold Envalari, a Gallente diplomat attached to the federal consulate on the Jita 4TAC4 trade hub. Leopold Envalari appears to have been assisting the Gallente Senate delegation visiting the Caldari state 2 months ago. One key goal of the Senate delegation's visit was to explore possible avenues of achieving a peaceful resolution of the status of the long-disputed Intaki system. Located in the contested Placid region, the war-torn system contains Intaki Prime, homeworld of the Intaki people. Extensive militia warfare over the past decade has seen the system change hands dozens of times, with periods of lengthy occupation and even planetary raiding by Caldari forces. The Senate visit had ended just as the Garista's spy ring was exposed, and Leopold Envalari is reported to have returned to the Federation with the Gallente delegation. The Caldari state's chairman, Akimaka Saraki, is known to have been in direct communication with President Celis Agard of the Gallente Federation as diplomats on both sides scramble to swiftly resolve this sudden crisis. The Gallente Federation firmly denies any involvement in the infiltration of state military and research agencies by Garista spies, but this development has already set back discussions on the future of the Intaki system, causing alarm on Intaki Prime. Federal authorities are refusing to confirm or deny reports that Envalari has subsequently disappeared. The Caldari state has added Leopold Envalari to their most wanted list, ignoring.
If you search for him, he lives in a Thucker facility now in Molten Heath.
Gallente protests at listing a federal diplomat as a wanted criminal. The scope will report as the situation develops.
So, and for those of you who may be new to my ramblings, it's worth noting that this guy, so Leopold, right? Here, I'll go over this one thing one more time, and then it'll probably be time to wrap things up, all right? Hold on, my thing just warned me that my headset's getting low. All right. So if the Caldari Mimitar ally, will they give this guy to the Caldari? Well, this guy is part of the... No, because he's not under control of the Mimitar Republic. He's part of the criminal branch of the Thucker. Probably. Okay, so here's the thing. Those are, what was it called? I got it here. Hold on. If I go to my lore notion, which, by the way, my Notion, the bill for my Notion is coming up soon. So I'll probably be doing like a minor fundraiser to be able to keep having this available to people. But that's not yet. What am I doing? Oh, yeah. Hey! Memory jog. What am I? What are you memory? What is my memory jog? What do you memory? What are you jogging my memory for? Oh, 7. Thank you so much for that super chat. What are you trying to jog my memory about? Or are you trying to get me to figure this out? Yeah. Okay. So Leopold. Oh, you're just trying to help me out. That's great. I figured it out. Don't worry. Okay. 07. Thank you so much, dude. That's really cool of you. Okay. So these are the logs of Esri Hokazosu. Okay. Which is, again, Esri Hakazosu was a secret agent working for the Guristas. And she was in Jita 4-4, and she was researching a project that she called Operation Phoenix, or Project Phoenix, which was later to be revealed to be the capital ship revamp project. Makes sense. So, you know, she says, pick up some chatter on ancillary projects other than Firebird. The general idea is that setting up even more decentralized design groups. State got fat and slow in the last decade, but it seems like they're finally getting some heads out of their asses. This guy Saraki is no fool. We'll do well to keep a close eye on him. But at any rate, she refers to a guy, her point of contact, known as Peacock. Okay, in entry to previous drop. Anyway, I also heard from Peacock. He wants to meet again. That's the second time this week. I don't mind that he changes up the routine. It's good OPSEC, but most of the time he just wants to bloody well gossip about side stuff. Mind you, this Dirt on Sorrow guy, Oveg Dursk. So Leopold, or rather the Peacock, has dirt on Oveg Dursk and is Esri's point of contact within this whole operation, and is interested in talking about things that are not necessarily related to the primary project, but is basically pumping her for other information. We get more information about that when we see she gets information from the Serpentis guy. She finds the data sniffer. Seems like Upwell and PKM be playing a double game behind the scenes when it comes to the Intaki. Hard to believe that Old Man Mordu would be up to something like that, but words are he's got a new obsession these days. I believe anything of the Force faction Upwell is so distributed and murky, any number of the players could be up to something. Could be useful info along down the line. And then the monitoring routine was not CalNet. It was Archive K. And then the Peacock told me he'd requested another operation against the Arturus, which is a whole different thing. I made a mistake, or I think it's a mistake. He told me, he laughed it off. I think he was drunk or high, actually. I don't like that a merc like him is running this op, but Rabbit made him the contact back to the nest. So this guy is not a Guristas, but he is her point of contact to Rabbit and the Guristas. Sparks told me he pulled off a job against the feds that the Black Eagles don't even know happened. Hard to believe. Well, I looked into this, and the operation I believe that they're referring to there is in... well, first of all, Guristas pirates implicated in a raid on House of Archives, record archives. Caldari authorities have alleged that the Guristas pirates were behind a weekend raid on the House of Records information system and Arturus system. The raid is believed to have penetrated several secure data vaults in the facility. So this is the raid that they're talking about. And at this point, while Caldari Chief Executive Panel has ordered a full inventory of the data held by the Arturus House of Records archives, there have been no comment from the organization itself. Informed sources have claimed that staff from Archive K have just arrived in Arturus to oversee the House of Records investigation. Archive K has long been rumored to be a secret intelligence and security branch of the House of Records. So lots of connection between Archive K and Leopold and the Guristas. And this might even be the operation that the Guristas later denied. But also, if we go back... Yeah, if you do a search for him, he gets found in the MTAC MD3B system in Great Wildlands. That's where it is. So if we go back here and we check out the Deathless, we'll see that the Deathless, there's this FIO dossier. The usual statement from General Karachi follows unconfirmed report of a stolen copy of the FIO dossier of the Serpentis military buildup making its ways into the hands of an entity known only as the Deathless. While being confused with the exact status of the Deathless, these reports allege that the identifier was recently used in hiring of several mercenary corporations previously active on the planet Shindeli. So what that means is, like, you might be like, but Ash, that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, just because this guy, there's this one thing that happened with the FIO dossier. But here's the thing about that FIO dossier. Is it going to be here? Or is it going to be... Let me look it up. So here we see... So... So yeah, Upwell buys ore. So Upwell's created, and then there's ambushes on heavily armed Ducia Foundry facilities, which Ducia Foundry is one of the Upwell partners. Then the Serpentis fall back, so they attacked this mining platform of ores, but then was pushed back. Upwell signs a deal with Interbus. Here we go. A dossier containing detailed analysis of the information available to the FIO is understood to have been passed to the DED, right? I don't think... I don't know if I have it here. There is a note that this dossier was... let's look. Federal Intelligence Office has communicated its deep concerns with the nature and extent of reported recent military buildup of Serpentis forces to Concord Directive Enforcement Department, according to sources within the FIO. A dossier containing detailed analysis of the information provided... available to the FIO is understood to have been passed to the DED. Its contents are reported to confirm rumors of a massive buildup of Serpentis naval forces, including the construction, blah, blah, blah. Most concerning of all, new things, Vanquisher-class Titans. They don't say it here, but there's another one that suggests... There is a part in which they suggest... They suggest that the dossier ends up in the hands of, or it gets sent to the Senate, and it's after it goes to the Senate that it leaks. Nope, I don't know. I think... I don't know. Well, 2008, so YC118526. Celebration of Capsuleer Day. Capsuleer Day. Crowned. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. At any rate, the point is that that dossier ended up in the hands of the Deathless, who then goes on to hand it to Upwell. So because we know that Leopold is the Deathless's man, the suspicion is that Leopold or the Peacock is, or that operation, because the Black Eagles never figure out how that dossier got leaked. So it makes sense that that's the event that they're talking about. I've talked about this before in other videos, and I'm sure I had a much better like concept of it all at the time. So go watch those, I suppose. But yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'm probably going to wrap things up at that point. We're going to be back next week. There's going to be the live event, or the mass test. So I'll probably be going live after the mass test. Hopefully we'll have things to talk about, and yada, yada, yada. Join Galmail. Galnet skins, please. Oh, we already looked at them before, but yeah. We can look at the Galnet skins for you real quick. Where did I put them? There we go. Okay, so there's the caracal. The jackdaw. The rattlesnake. Yeah, there's so many good fights with Galmil. You want good fights? You want small gang PvP? You want solo and stuff? Dude, I'm telling you, man. Look, you can look at my kill board. I get good fights all the time. It's awesome. Not just my kill board. You can look at a lot of others. I've had so many people get their first solo kill in the last couple of weeks. That's right. Don't let the guinea pigs starve. I need your likes and subscriptions, guys. It really helps. It's so sad. I was looking at them earlier, and they were barely squeaking. No. They were like, "We want food." What's this about direct enlistment? Starting with this next patch or whatever, whenever this comes out, you will be able to enlist in a faction warfare faction without leaving a corporation. Corporations can be still themselves enlisted, and corporations can decide what factions their members are allowed to join, but you can now be in faction warfare and also be in a corporation that isn't in faction warfare. The Myrmidon? Exec? I think the true winner out of this entire series, the Hulk. So 2 members of the same corp can be Minmatar and Gal. Mill without the corp going in? Exactly. In fact, actually 2 members can be Amar and Minmatar and be at war with each other within the same corporation. If you're in an NPC corp and you enlist, do you think it'll still put you in faction warfare corp? I bet you that won't be an option. Or maybe it will. I don't know, whatever. Venture? Yes, actually. I was not able to join Galmil with my alt because she didn't have positive Gallente standings. Also, the wars, the allies, the allegiances between the Caldari and the Amar and the Mimitar and the Gallente are done. So now the Amar and the Gallente are no longer at war, and the Caldari and the Mimitar are no longer at war. So, like, Amar militiamen can no longer come over to Gallente space and run plexes or kill Galmil. Me and my mate came back to the game and joined Minmill, but our collective standing was too low and we got booted. Oh, well, I mean, being in the militia is a good way to get your standings up, and you can still join another if you joined a corporation that had better standings, you'd be able to pull. It's not a 4-way fight. It is 2 1v1 fights, right? So, like, I will see a Min mill and an Amar mill now as neutral to me. Not either way. I'll only see Cal mill as being a war target. Likewise, I can't go over and run mill sites. None of that. None of that crossover stuff anymore. Gnosis. Stratios. Now, those allegiances may change. The lore is kind of suggesting the fact that there could be an allegiance that spawns between the Mimitar and the Caldari. But I think that a lot of that's going to be based on player actions, too. And the Munin. All right, well, that about wraps it up. I've been Ashrothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put Eve into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for checking this place out. Thank you for watching the stream, hanging out, liking the video, as I know each and every one of you have taken the 2 seconds to do the part. You know that there's that streamer that like guilt tripped her audience. It's like, oh my God, I bet you watch my stream all day. You can't even afford $5. I'm not asking for $5. I'm asking for 1 like. No, but I do want to, of course, thank all of my sponsors. I read their names earlier, and I do want to, like, we had those super chats. How does this work now? Your activity? Yeah. So yeah, thanks again to Lumi for his super chat, and of course check out NU42 if you're interested in literally a newbie group. Caesar, thank you very much for your membership, and of course Sean, thank you for jogging my memory about Esri Hakazosu. Look, it's the Tanuki, okay? Anyway, I've been Ashrothi. Until next time, I'll see you in space. Buy my merch.
Bring on the wrecking every city